How to get through a breakup. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here, and I'm really sorry if you are going through this because it is not the greatest time in anyone's life. But I'm really happy you're here because I feel like I can give a few pointers. If you enjoy my videos and if you'd like to see more, I would be so grateful if you could like, comment and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. But let's get into it. I am single. I have also dated in my 20s, which means I have also gone through a whole bunch of relationship breakups, situationship breakups, flings, whatever it is. I've probably gone through it, and I've also dealt with the aftermath of it as well. I'm no expert, but I feel like I'm expert enough to talk about this. You don't have to even have a relationship to have a breakup. You can have friendship breakups as well, and they're just as tough, if not tougher. One thing I think I'd like to touch on, I don't think it's possible to give yourself a time frame. Healing is a different process for everyone and in different situations as well. I've noticed that I've moved on from breakups from a relationship within days, and then I've taken months to get through a situationship. Whatever it is, I don't think the time frame indicates how connected you are and how difficult the aftermath is. I've got some pointers ready to go, so let's get right into it. I feel like I talk about this step a lot in a lot of my videos. I think it's so important to be kind to yourself, to recognize that it is difficult and allow yourself to know that. Honestly, be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, allow yourself to feel. And sometimes it's really hard because you might not be ready to feel everything that you are feeling, but it's so important to let yourself feel because otherwise you're not going to get through it. Pretend I'm like your older sister or your best friend telling you that it is going to take time, but it is going to get better. So allow yourself to feel. During this process, so important to keep reminding yourself that healing and growth, getting past all of this, it's not a linear process. You might feel like you're taking one step forward and 20 steps back, but it's still a process. If you zoom out and look at the whole trajectory, you're still getting there, but the actual journey can be like this. A few things that you can do to try to help you during that time of healing and processing, talking to friends is something that helps me. But if no one's available to chat about it at the time, I think journaling is really great. Sometimes I just voice record myself if I've got so many thoughts and I need to put them down somewhere. Tip number 2, go no contact. This one is a little bit controversial. I think a lot of people say that, oh, but we've decided to be friends. But I honestly think going no contact is the fastest way for you to bring back that attention and thought to yourself and focus on yourself, because it's a time where you do have to be selfish and you don't owe that person anything to be like, oh, I need to be your friend, I need to be there for you. You actually don't, because if that's not the best thing for you, then you're not doing the best for yourself. If this person no longer is serving you in your life, you do not need to maintain contact with the person. I know some people try to remain friends and try to remain in contact, break up amicably, and that's important. I genuinely think even if you do decide to remain friends, you need some time apart to really reevaluate and take some time for yourself. I honestly do believe when two people remain friends after a breakup, and I know there's exceptions to the rule, but I honestly believe that one person is the one that remains heartbroken throughout that process. So make it easier on yourself and make that whole process of healing and getting out of it a bit easier for you, and honestly pull that band-aid off straight away and go no contact. Going no contact will also ensure if you do want to stay friends later in the future, you haven't then done something to hurt that person earlier on and they haven't done something to hurt you. That process of breaking up is not nice. It can be messy. There can be a lot of things that can happen. A lot of pain can come of things that you hear about and unspoken words. Honestly, going no contact saves you from going through all of that and almost like gives you that option to be friends later if you do decide that you want to be friends, because you haven't tainted the whole image. Also helps you get out of that mindset that they might be back. It's that half in, half out situation where something's ended but you're like, oh, what if? So I think going no contact means that person's not there to keep encouraging you to question what if. I think there's so many benefits to no contact that once you get to the point of no contact, I think it's really useful to be there. All right, tip number 3. When I talked about making sure you actually feel what you're feeling, a great way to ensure that you're not just blocking out all of those emotions and not thinking about it, not processing it. A really good way is to talk through it, to journal it, to do something where it's out of your mind and onto something. Almost almost like in Harry Potter, you know how they've got the pensieve and they pull out memories when they want to, but otherwise it's stored in there. I think of my journal almost like that. If there's thoughts or memories or things that are just getting a bit overwhelming in my mind, I like to write it down and write down everything that comes up around that as well. I've taken it out of my mind, put it on something, and now it's up to that book or whatever that is to look after it, and I don't have to deal with it at that time. It really helps when you're not ready to process things just yet. Talking to people is the best thing because I feel like spoken word is just so easy, it just flows. If I can't speak to someone at the time, I will sometimes just voice memo record myself. Speaking to it is really helpful, but sometimes I can get myself in a quiet space and just write it all down. It's so crazy. I don't think anyone's seen this part of me, but like when I'm writing this stuff down, like I will be bawling my eyes out. It's like the most emotions you'll see. Once I'm done though, that book is closed to deal with later. I usually don't read through it again. My mind is so overwhelmed with these thoughts, I can put it somewhere and just come back to it later. And I know I do have to address it later. And you never know, sometimes when you're journaling it and putting it down on paper, new insights come about. I do also like journal any beliefs that I have around myself. I might be questioning myself in the situation. If I write it down, I can then logically dismantle that and figure out where that's coming from. And usually I find some new insights because I'm like, hold on, mind, that makes no sense. It makes no sense for you to think that way because that's not true. It's really useful because I think it just like brings you back to reality rather than whatever you've created in your mind. Before I started journaling every single day, my journal was literally my breakup journal. Every time I went through a situation that really like I struggled with, it was a breakup from like, you know, anything could be just like dating someone for a little bit or full relationships. I would use my journal as literally my breakup journal. If you looked at my previous journals, the entries were just during that phase of the breakup where I'd literally write down everything, and then there was no journal entries until the next one. So now I journal every day. It's a bit different. Back then, I genuinely just needed a space to dump all of my thoughts. Tip number 4, keep busy. Honestly, it's so important to keep your mind occupied with productive things that you're doing rather than letting yourself sit down and brood. When I say keep busy, I mean that you might have been spending a lot of time with this person. You have all this time that's come back to yourself now. You can use that time to do things that you've been wanting to do for a really long time. Try out new things, go to new places, spend time with friends. I honestly think that it's so important to maintain all of those things even when you are in a relationship. You don't change as a human whether you are in a relationship or not. You should be spending time with your friends, doing new things, enjoying your time, trying out new things. Like you should be doing all of that. When you've gone through a breakup, have all this additional time because you were spending that time with that person. Then it's just thinking about what can I put this time into that fuels me and fills me up. Obviously this person was assisting that. You wouldn't be spending time with this person if they weren't filling your cup. Figuring out what is it that you want to try. One of the things for me, it was surfing, and I'd been putting it off for so long, and it wasn't even after a breakup. I just decided to go for it. I haven't done it for a little bit now, but it's something that I absolutely love. The other thing that I absolutely love trying was going to a heels class. I would totally recommend just trying something a bit out of your comfort zone, just giving it a go. It's also a time where you can focus on yourself and focus on your healing. If that's becoming the best version of you, it could be focusing on things like your sleep, your diet, your health and well-being, incorporating like a good fitness routine, whatever it is for you. It's a really good time to switch on that reset button. Not that everyone needs a reset, but if you are needing one, it's a good time to do it. So at the end of my last situation, like the breakup, I actually thought I was a very healed version of myself. Since then, I've been working on myself so much. The version of me now, that version of me previously would be like, wow, go you. But at that time, I was like, what else do I have to work on? I don't need another glow up. But honestly, I'm grateful I had another version of this glow up. I'm even more aligned now than I was then. So this process of healing, growth, and learning never stops. But sometimes that like kick in the butt or that like switch on for it is really useful. I'm quite grateful for it. Some of the things you can focus on when you are incorporating new things into your life is exercise. If that's the gym for you, then it is. If it's swimming, whatever it is, exercise gives you endorphins. It's happy hormones. It makes you feel good straight after and for a while after as well. Focusing on spending time with friends and family because your support system, it's so important for you, especially at that time. Spending some time to really focus on work. Not that you're ever not focusing on work, but even if you decide to start a side hustle or whatever that is, spending focused time on that means you're keeping productive and keeping busy in a useful way. It's also a time where you can think about what is that new hobby that I've been putting off but wanting to do for a really long time, because honestly, now's your chance. You may as well make the most of it and spend that time doing that. This one might come across as a little bit controversial, but honestly, if you're finding you need a bit of an ego boost and you're needing that like pick me me up. Post on social media. Make yourself known, because that ego boost when people tell you that you look good, not that you need that from anyone, but if you are feeling like you do, why not use it? So honestly, like, use it as that pick me up to be like, no, I know I am all that, but it's also nice when you say it. So use that time to kind of figure out what you want to post on social media. Even dating apps, sometimes you can be busy talking to people and seeing what else is out there, even if you're not ready to fully date, because sometimes it can just help you feel good about yourself. People are on dating apps for multiple different reasons. Not everyone is out there to look for a long-term relationship. So if you're there for an ego boost, that's also okay. There are, I'm sure, a lot of other people out there for that same reason. My last little part of this video is going to be a few pointers just for you to take note of and remember if you are going through this, because honestly, it's really not the nicest time in your life and you can make it what you want. Okay, so one thing I want you to remember is I want you to know that whatever you're feeling right now will not last forever, even if it feels like it's going to. This life is full of ebbs and flows. It's full of ups and downs. The duality of life is literally what makes it so beautiful. If you are feeling low right now, just know that it means that you have the ability to feel such strong emotions, which means you also have the ability to feel the high. If you are feeling the low, the high will come, because this life is full of ebbs and flows. The second point I want you to know is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. A relationship takes two people, and usually someone's decision says more about them than you. Think about how long we spend thinking about ourselves in situations, and now reflect that onto the other person. They're thinking of their situation from their lens. So whatever decision has come about, it's definitely not to do with you. It's to do with the situation, and it's to do with them. When you are ready, reflect on the situation and find the lesson. If there is no lesson, appreciate it for what it was. This life is literally full of experiences. Really think of it as just an experience and appreciate it for the time that it was and let it go. When you are ready, and if you want to, I urge you to put yourself back out there, because you honestly never know what you're going to find. I say this as someone who's currently not dating, actually not on any dating apps, purely because I don't have the time. If that is something that you want to do, don't hold yourself back because of your experience. Just as you have had maybe not a great experience, you also have the potential and possibility to have great experiences. So don't limit yourself because of your past experience. Allow yourself to keep believing that there could be more, and there is more out in this world. So when you are ready, put yourself back out there. These are some of my tips on how to heal and get through a breakup and a tough situation. Like I said, it's not very nice to go through, but sometimes you can just appreciate it for what it was and let it go. I really hope if you are going through this, I'm sending you so much love and so much light. I believe in you, and I think you will get through this, because like I said, ebbs and flows, and there's just going to be a bright light at the end of that tunnel for you. So I'm gonna leave you with that. If you enjoyed this video and if you appreciated some of these things that I can share, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.